used to store honey, sell honey, and raise baby bees. That means brood. They have one queen, only one queen in a hive normally, and live to serve her. They make and store honey to survive the winter general. So we know insect has different castes. You have learned it in the level 2. So in case of bees, there are 3 castes, and also we say the 3 types of members in the colony. One is the worker, another is the drone, and the other is the queen. So in general, only one queen in a hive, 20,000 to 80,000 worker, and only a few hundred, not more than 1,000, but less than 1,000. Few hundred, that means 200, 300, 400, 500, like that. Drones. Drone are male. So worker are female, queen also female, drone male. But the difference between worker and the queen, worker is sterile. They couldn't give the generation, but queen are fertile. They can give birth. And queen is the only one person in the colony. She can lay egg, and nearly 1,500 eggs per day she can lay. In general, it may be 2,500 per day, but generally 1,500 they lay egg in a day. And the developmental stage of honeybee, there are 4 developmental stage, like one egg. First time we know that egg, larva, pupa, adult. So in case of metamorphosis, they have the complete metamorphosis. They have egg, they have larva, they have pupa, they have adult. So there are 4 developmental stages. So this is the picture. The middle, the queen, left side the worker, and right side the drone. The drone abdomen is planted. You see, this is nearly U-shaped. So drone abdomen is planted. Queen, acute, elongated abdomen, and outside of the wing. But worker, they have also a small abdomen and a very little size of abdomen. So now the queen, we say that queen is the only one queen present in one colony. She is the mother of colony. She rule the hive, rule the state. So her function is laying eggs. She can live 2 to 5 years. Generally, one queen can live 5 years. So the potentiality of laying egg, it declined after 2 years. So they can live 5 years, but the deposition of egg, it's mostly effective until 2 to 3 years. After that, the egg deposition is declining. So queen also develop pheromones, which is called queen substance, that keep the colony functioning orderly, loyal, and protective to that queen. So generally, queen have sting, but queen sting has no barb like borshi. So you can use it several times. But in case of worker, they have barbed sting. So now the drone, just a minute. The queen, the drone. So drone, generally queen and worker, they develop from the fertilized egg. But the drone develop from unfertilized eggs. So drone has no father, but grandfather. So drone develops parthenogenetically. The process. So drone are haploid. Drone are not generally, and they have no stinger. Drone have no sting. So drone actually it make a lot of buzz when you go in front of the hive, but they cannot sting. So now the life cycle of the honeybee. This is very important for examination, even final exam, quiz, everywhere. The life cycle. You see, the developmental stage, there are three types of individual. We told earlier that queen, worker, and drone. So they have developmental stage. We told earlier that egg, larva, pupa, and adults. So how long it takes to develop, for example, to hatch the egg? For queen, worker, and drone, every side, it requires only 3 days for hatching of the egg. So whether it is queen or worker or drone is not a problem. It will just hatch within 3 days. After 3 days, the larval stage for queen, 5.5 days, for worker, 6 days, for drone, 6.5 days, for pupa, queen, 7.5 days, worker, 12 days, and drone, 14.5 days. In total, the developmental time, you see, from egg to adult, it takes 16 days for queen, 21 days for worker, and 24 days for the drone, the male. So this is the developmental time and how long the adults survive. So for queen, please write it down. It is not written here. For queen, the adult can live up to 5 years. So queen life expectancy 5 years. Worker 42 days, another 42 days, in total 63 days they can live from egg to their death. It takes 63 days for worker. For drone, similarly, 24 to it is also nearly 60 to 63 days they can survive. So you see, only queen they can survive 5 years, but rest others are not surviving for many days. Why? What's the difference here? Though we know that queen and worker are female, but why it differs? Because of the food. The queen in their lifetime, they always eat the royal jelly, the May milk. So for this reason, they can live up to 5 years. But the worker, they only get 6 days, only get 3 days. For worker and drone, they get only 3 days royal jelly, and rest 3 days they get bee bread. Bee bread, that means Poland bee bread. So you see, for queen, in their larval developmental time, they consume royal jelly. But in case of worker and drone, they do not get. Only 3 days they get royal jelly, and rest other days they get the bee bread. This is nutritional factor. This is why the queen can live up to 5 years. So you see the egg also inside the brood here. So these larvae are big, they're getting big, and this is a capped larvae. That means the pupation is going here. You see the pupa inside the cell, and in a comb, this is a brood. In general, the whole, there are worker broods. These are worker cell. You see the worker cell, similar type. But these are the drone cell, a little bit larger. You see the drone cell, a little bit larger, scattered, big in comparison to worker cell. This is the queen cell where queen grow. You see the queen cell, and also here, this is the queen cell. So queen can grow this type of cells. So now, what's the job for bees? Every caste, every individual in the beehive, they have different types of duties. So these duties, that means when they start their employment, they stop it never until their death. So for workers do the work in the bee society. Employment is based on the age of the bees. That means তারা কে কোন কাজের মধ্যে থাকবে এটা তাদের বয়স অনুযায়ী, একদিনের বি কি কাজ করবে, 2 দিনের বি কি কাজ করবে, তাদের প্রত্যেকটা কাজের ডিস্ট্রিবিউশন রয়েছে. So during their lifetime they pass through many jobs of promotion. So from now we are categorize the worker bees. We say first that nurse bees are very young bees, just after development, after pupa to adult, they start their status as nurse bees. They are generally 1 to 12 days. That means within 2 weeks, their duty, they clean their cell and the other cells, they feed the brood, that means the larvae. And house bee, this age is 10 to 20 days old. They generally make comb, they build the comb, the housekeeping, the undertaking, they're ripening the honey and climate control. Inside the beehive, they control the temperature, moisture, then molding wax into cells, accept and store pollen and nectar from foragers, those bees who collect the nectar, water, propolis. So they collect it from them and then they deposit in the cell. And also they have duties of house security, guard hive and its entrance. Sometimes only about 5% of bees perform this there. And then orientation flies to learn surroundings. That means the new bees who did their inside duties in the home, they after 21 days, they are permitted to go outside to collect nectar, water, pollen, propolis, etc. So on that time, they required to fly training. On that time, there are some training. Other bees, they do the training. This is called orientation flights. Then field agent, generally we say these are scout bees. After about 3 weeks, the girls, the worker bees are ready to spend the rest of their lives as foragers. That means collector. They gather pollen, they gather nectar, tree resin, and water for the hive. During this time, they work themselves to death, literally. Before death, they do not stop their work. Worker bees in the summer only live about 6 weeks. In the winter, they live a leisurely life for several months. This is not applicable for our country. This is for the temperate zone. So, thorax, we skip, will not teach you like that. This is at master's level. You will learn this. So maybe this picture will be important for your final. You see, number 1, the feelers, that means the antenna. Number 2, what is written? Compound eyes, you know the compound eyes of bees. Tongue, that means proboscis, this chewing lapping type. Number 4, forelegs, সামনের পা. Then pollen sacs, you know the pollen sacs, the hind leg. Number 5, this is the pollen sac. Then wax gland, you know it, in the abdomen. There wax gland. The stinger at the end of the abdomen, there is a stinger. Then wings, you know very well, insect wing, head, thorax, abdomen. Anyway, this is the bees biology. You see, you learn bee biology, bee foraging crops, what is apiculture, and also their duties in the hive, their development, etc. Their products, their foraging plants. Now, I will go some of the name of the important diseases of bees. So in case of management, there are several pests and diseases of honeybees. So okay, this is one important. The pest complex. We know generally that insect are the pest. Now we see that also honeybee, they have some insects. So these insects, you see the pests, varroa mites, tracheal mites. There are several insects that attack honeybee colony, small beetles, ant, wax moth, and other things like roaches, earwigs, mammals মধ্যে রয়েছে mice, skunks, foul brood ডিজিজের মধ্যে রয়েছে আমেরিকান foul brood, ইউরোপিয়ান foul brood, sac brood, dysentery, nosema, common dysentery, ফাঙ্গাল ইনফেকশনের মধ্যে রয়েছে চক ব্রুড ডিজিজ, viral infection মধ্যে আছে sac brood, BPMS, and a lot of diseases. So at a glance in the exam, you will find mention the list of honeybee pests and diseases. So from the note sheet, you can collect this. So there are some symptoms. Just to know you, this is the small hive beetle, the beehive, very small. This is the tracheal mite. This is the microscopic picture. In the blind eye, you couldn't see it. The naked eye couldn't see it. The varroa mite, you see, the thorax on the bee body. So this is the tracheal mite also. The foul brood disease symptom, bacterial disease, and some symptom. So most of the time when bees, your industry is attacked by insect pests and diseases, on that time you will lose your industry. So huge loss. So I think no more today because hello.